Hello everyone, and welcome back to Thuringia. It's now 1900 hours on the 15th of October, 1806. We've had a full day, and honestly, it's largely been a day of resting, at least once the day got started. Over here, in that big fight around Erfurt, the French finally shattered the last of General Rachelle's corps. The last little piece of it is that division that belongs to Saxe that's trailing east over towards Auerstedt. Those are shattered men. They're not going to be doing anything useful combat-wise very soon. General Grouchy was ordered to pursue to the east, at least as far as that river line, and then to let them go. Didn't do a whole lot of damage, but the fatigue is going to be significant, and again, it's going to be a while before we hear anything of the usefulness of General Saxe's division. The rest of the men, the corps of Marshal Murat, Marshal Davout, and Marshal Lannes, are gathered and trying to decide what their next move is. They're in range, and they're talking to each other a great deal about possible plans. I'll let you in a little bit behind the curtain and tell you that the one thing they're really wondering is if there's anyone at Weimar, if they can make an easy lunge for it, securing it, or whether they run the risk of extending themselves too much and being counterpunched. As you can see, it's one of those things about fog of war, because the only blue in the area is stuff that's heading north and east away. That leads me to General Blucher. Bad habits. His men are making their way north from Weimar all the way up and eventually here towards Naumburg. He's given orders to evacuate the area. One interesting piece is the men of Weimar's division have made it as far as Auerstedt, and they frankly are wondering where General Rachelle is, and General Blucher doesn't know either. So he's, at least in the short term, placed them under his command, trying to get them organized. These are the men of Napoleon himself. They've been waiting patiently for the men of this division here to clear these roads. They're finally getting ready to make their own way north to Weimar, where they'll find the way pretty clear. Over here is where things are going to get interesting. Remember the fight that began all the way in Hof? Those are the same men. They've been pursued and pursued and pursued. What makes this one different is that they were given the orders to dig in and hold the flanks as much as they could by General Brunswick. Actually, it's Lord Brunswick in this case. They're staying there, dug in. From the left, they've been met by the men of Marshal Ney. From the south, they've been met by the men of Marshal Soult. Soult gave a very specific order that had significant consequences. He urged his men to try to lure those men that you see there out of their trenches, and if not, to hold them at sort of knife point. They didn't attack, even though they would have only had a few hours to do so. And as a result, you have two corps surrounding one, not knowing that they have such a long way to go back up to Leipzig. Everyone else you see on the map has pretty well been resting, particularly the men over to the west. That leaves the fight tomorrow to be the most interesting one we've had for a while. We'll see what happens with the overnight orders, but it will be particularly interesting to note what orders are given by Ney, by Soult, and by Brunswick for those men gathered there. I'll take a look at those orders, and we'll likely visit again as the sun rises on the 16th of October.